0818 715 815.
Hello, good afternoon, and you're very welcome to Liveline. 51551 is our text number. It's the oldest fair in Ireland, festival, 400 years. The Puck Fair in Killaughlan, County Kerry, begins tomorrow, goes on for 3 days. Katrina Lowry has contacted us from the Hilltop Goat Sanctuary. You've 24 hours to save Billy the goat, Katrina, because he or she is going to be hoisted up in that cage tomorrow and left there for 3 days. What's your concerns?
Well, just firstly, we're a hilltop sanctuary and we've every sort of animal here, including a recent arrival of goats. So I suppose I'm not just speaking from my own personal stance and opinion. I have been inundated with messages and calls from every sort of person and across the demographic about this fair. I suppose, Joe, just the first thing I have to say, would you feel okay being suspended in air in a small cage on a metal stand in these soaring temperatures?
And is that your main worry, Katrina? Temperatures are due to hit 30 degrees for the first time at this time of year in a long, long time. You think it's cruel to expose a goat non-stop in that heat? Hanging in a cage.
Yeah, I suppose firstly, my friend Pat Dublin, who runs the sanctuary with me, he is on a building site today, and health and safety came to him that they were not to spend two heat drills. He's a core driller. They were not to spend too long up on the scaffolding because metal radiates heat. So, and up high, it's obviously going to be.
Well, that's interesting.
Hotter.
So it's unsafe for outdoor workers to be in the sun for so long.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to hang a goat tomorrow for 3 days.
Yes.
Okay, stay there, Katrina. We'll try and improve the line. Francesca Ayers. Francesca, you're a veterinary nurse in Killaughlan.
Yeah.
And what do you think? What's the weather like today, by the way?
I'm not in Killaughlan, unfortunately, today. I'm actually still away at work.
Well, apparently it is glorious. But anyway, and the forecast for the next 3 days as well. There's an amber warning. There's a warning in the UK, and there's a warning here. Temperatures in the UK possibly 35 plus. Temperatures here 30 plus. As a veterinary nurse, what do you think of the idea of hanging a goat for 3 days in that weather?
I think it's inexcusable, to be honest, that they're thinking that it can go ahead as normal with those temperatures. You've got an animal that they are quite heat sensitive. They don't like it too hot, they don't like it too cold. And if you've got something that is based in direct sunlight, as he is, now he has a little shelter over him, but at the same time with the sun's angle, he is still going to be getting very, very hot up there. And there's really no reason why, now that we've got animal welfare laws in place and we understand what we understand about animals and, you know, them being sentient beings and so on, that we have to be using an actual live animal in a cage on top of a stand. It just boggles the mind as to how they continue doing it every single year, and especially when you've got a heat warning in place, that could potentially kill the animal. We see heat stroke every single summer in my job, and it's fatal. Like, the body climbs to certain temperatures and you basically start cooking internal organs, and it's horrendous. And by the time they realise what's going on with this poor animal, it could be fatal for it.
You reckon it could be fatal? Now, are you, Francesca? You're being very brave because you're based in Killaughlan, are you not?
Well, I am, yeah, but
you know how important the Puck Fair is to the town. 10 million.
I also know that the town has survived the last 2 years through COVID, and the world has not come crashing down without Puck Fair for the last 2 years.
And have you been to Puck Fair?
Unfortunately, I survived through Puck Fair pretty much every single year because it is absolute carnage.
In what way?
The town is completely clogged up. You can't get in and out of it. It wrecks daily life. There's no way of getting people to and fro to work without being stuck in traffic for hours. Everything's got to be bolted down because of visitors to the area. Burglaries and thefts and so on go up in the area tenfold.
Oh my God.
So everything's got to be bolted down. It's, some people go out and they enjoy it, but most of the locals prefer to stay around their own property where they can at least keep an eye on things and they know what's happening with their own homes.
Is there much alcohol?
Yes, it's pretty much a wash with it. I mean, at one point it was just 3 days of continuous drinking and the pubs would barely close. I think now that the licensing laws are a little bit tighter, but it's still basically the streets are awash.
With alcohol?
With alcohol, yeah.
Okay, Declan Falvey is president of the committee, the Puck committee in Killorglin. Declan, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Joe. Actually, I have to correct you there. I'm not the president. Declan Mangan, who is much older than me, is currently the president because we sacked him as chairman because he was getting too old. So he's now the president.
Okay.
I'm the chairperson.
You're the chairperson. Okay.
And another thing, Joe, I'd like to correct you on. You said the festival is 400 years old, or the fair is. It's actually 400 plus years old. The first documentary evidence of a fair being granted a license to hold a fair was in 1613. So that's why we say it's 400 plus years old. Anyway, apart from that,
what
how are things anyway, Joe?
Grand. Well, how's the goat?
The goat is absolutely fine.
Where is he now?
He is in an enclosure. He has been retrieved from the mountain. A fine herd of goats were seen, and they were corralled into a corner, and a fine specimen of a goat has been selected, a wild mountain goat. For those who in Ireland, a lot of people don't realise that when they see Puck Fair, Puck means a male goat, a male wild mountain goat. So the Puck Fair tradition is where a goat has been selected to represent the whole of Ireland and is crowned up on the stand, and he represents the whole of Ireland while the fair is going on. And the fair is actually a horse fair and a cattle fair. There used to be a sheep and pig fair, but that no longer happens.
Yeah, but I think, don't you say in your programme that the cattle fair has nothing to do with the Puck Fair?
Yeah, well, the cattle fair is not organised by it's there by Royal Charter. A good number of years ago,
and
used to take place on the street, and we moved it to a farmer's field because, as you know, the traffic is pretty chaotic as it is, and we moved it to a field, and by doing so, we incurred a duty of care. But the cattle fair still takes place on a small side street.
And have you put it? Is there a name on the billy goat?
No. The Puck goat, we don't call it a billy goat. That sounds very English. We used to call it various names. And some local people who are very interested in history, that he was never called a name in the past. So there's a monument as we enter the town.
And have you any idea how old?
The monument says King Puck, and that's what his name is.
Well, have you any idea how old King Puck is this year?
King Puck is 4 years of age.
4 years of age, okay.
Yeah, and he is a very calm temperament, I'm led to believe, by the goat catcher.
And how long is he held up in that cage for?
The cage and the pen that he is held in. By the way, there was a time when the goat used to be fettered. I was explaining this already to your researcher. The goat used to be fettered in the cage to make sure that he faced down the hill so that his admirers could see him. And as you could be looking at the McGillicuddy Reeks, he's now under the 5 freedoms that we have. He's no longer fettered. He is free to roam around his pen. And he can, if he wants, he can turn his backside to his great admirers, or he can lie down and take a rest, or stand up and do as he feels.
And how big is the pen?
The pen is more than adequate for the goat to move around.
Is it the size of a car parking space?
No. I doubt very much it is that size, Joe. So you've been around before. I haven't. If it was the size of a car parking space, it would be the width of the stand itself.
Okay, so what? It's just half a car, 1/3 a car parking space.
I couldn't tell you, Joe, but it's more than adequate for the goat. The goat is actually not that big, A sheep is nearly bigger than a goat in that respect.
But he still is a sentient animal.
I beg your pardon?
He still is an animal with feelings.
Of course he is.
Pain.
And we do our utmost to respect the feelings of the goat. We have the 5 freedoms protocol.
And what are the 5 freedoms protocol?
Well, the 5 freedoms are mentioned on our website. So that the goat is chosen. He is He's inspected. Once he has been chosen, he's brought down. He's calmed down for 2 or 3 weeks to make sure that he's okay. The goat checks him at the first opportunity to make sure that his health is very robust, and then he's fed a healthy diet, and then every day while the 2 days that he's up on the stand to go, the vet, he's brought down. The vet checks him very thoroughly.
And has the vet ever suspended the hanging of the goat?
You mentioned the word hanging.
The
goat is not hanging. He's hoisted and he rests on the platform.
I don't like using. You see, I said has the vet ever suspended? I wouldn't say. I'm trying not to use the same word twice in the one sentence. So I said, has the vet ever suspended the hanging of the goat? I don't mean a gallows. I mean the hanging of him in the little cage.
No, the goat, has he ever suspended, as you said, called it off, is that he's, no, not in the 400, the 200, so it's about 200 years since the goat has been hoisted up and put on the platform.
And was it suspended?
I would like to use the word hanging refers to him as almost like he's suspended upside down. So he's not suspended.
I know that.
He's in the cage.
But,
he's in a pen. So he's fine. He's doing very well.
But as Katrina, who's a local, Katrina is. I'll bring Katrina back in now in a sec. Katrina Lowry is on a better line, totally better line.
Yes.
I'm told. You're listening to Declan Falvey. The goat has 5 freedoms. The vet looks at the goat twice a day.
Hello, Declan. How are you?
Yes,
and I'm
hello,
sure you're
Katrina.
I'm sure you know what. You're blessed with the lovely weather, and I'm sure you're delighted. But Declan, first of all, I am not a killjoy. I have to say that. I am going to speak for everybody who has concerns. So first of all, I'm going to come across teachery for a few seconds until Joe cuts me off. But just to point out the freedoms, the goat has to be free from discomfort, freedom from stress, freedom to express normal behaviour, Declan, and freedom from thirst. I know you'll take care. I heard you give lots of cabbage to the goat and all that, but let me just say something. Metal radiates heat. As my friend who also runs the sanctuary with me pointed out, they are only allowed to stay up for so many hours on scaffolding in this heat. So now
humans.
Humans, yes. So next of all, the water up there will heat up. Goats will not, or no animal will drink warm water. Freedom to express normative behaviour. There is an amp and speaker underneath the stand as pictured down through the years. How can that goat get away from something that is not normal to him? If an animal out there, a goat up the mountain, is distressed, he gets to run away from the stressor. He is denied that freedom. And the pubs are open till 3 a.m. in the morning. I know when I have a few drinks,
3
I'm
a.m.
definitely louder, let me tell you. They have a license till 3 a.m.
They have exemptions.
And I know... I know of people who visited who were very stressed and very upset to witness men trying to climb up to the goat, beer bottles, cans. The goat is totally stressed. So Declan, I really, really, really respect where you're coming from and tradition, but we have to meet in middle ground here and put the goat, as my friend said to me, we have to put the goat before kind of the commercial, the greed of any festival. And I have to be greedy to run a sanctuary to make it work. But you have to find another way to do this. It is not, at the end of the day, this is not me. I'm not going to go hug a tree and pick daisies after this. I am talking about animal welfare legislation that we all have to adhere to. And we are blessed. We have the best animal welfare legislation in Europe, but we have to enforce it.
Well, hang on a sec, Katrina. If we have the best animal welfare legislation in Europe, surely a basic, surely in the legislation is enshrined that no animal can be suspended in a small cage, small metal cage for 3 days in a heat wave.
Yes, can I tell you, I emailed the animal welfare, the Department of Agriculture, who is, it's their remit to overlook and make sure this legislation is enforced. I emailed them my concerns, and loads of people, their concerns as well, from farmers to other vets to doctors to nurses to, builders. And do you know what they emailed me back? They asked me for a Google pin drop where Kilorglin was, and was the goat injured? And I was just like, I know these people are just manning these lines, but I was like, oh, good God. But, at the end of the day, we are the ISPCA, and Dogs Trust and Fair Play will come out and tell us not to walk our dogs in this heat. And yet we are going to have thousands of people gathering, and a goat will be suspended over them in this heat. And another thing, Joe, and this, I'm just going to have to make this point, that goat is removed from its herd. And as Pat pointed out as well to me, how do they know that goat will be accepted back into the herd? Like, if Declan was away for 3 days, hoisted up in the air, and he went home, whoever he lives with, how will they not ask questions? Where were you? And I'm not making fun of it, but in seriousness, the animals don't get. You've left. You've different sense. How do they know he's going to be accepted?
Let Declan Falvey, the chairman of Kilorglin Puck Fair, answer. Declan.
I was wondering, was I going to get a chance to come in at all there, Joe? But saying if I was hoisted up for 3 days and left suspended, I said my wife might be quite happy to get rid of me for 3 days. I mean, hopefully I might never come back. But anyway, all I can say is,
take the place of the goat?
Excuse me.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. We have been running Puck Fair in Kilorglin for over 200 years. We are very proud of the traditions that we uphold. We are very proud that we have an unblemished record of looking after the welfare of the goat. I know the previous custodians of the Hooligans used to look after the goat in the 50s when I was a young fella, and I've never heard of a story of a goat being mistreated in Kilorglin in all that time. And we have we will not allow the goat to be mistreated. We will do everything in our power. If that means taking the goat down a level, if it means putting a fan on board, that will be done as well. We will make sure that we look after the goat and make sure that he gets back. And you can be sure, Katrina, that he will find his herd in jig time when he gets back up into the mountain.
Okay, and Declan, I hear you, and
they're going to put in a fan.
Yeah, Declan, I really hear you, and I am taking on board everything you say, but you're not addressing, not my opinion, the animal welfare legislation. It is not normative to put a goat in a metal cage on a metal stand. And by the way, goats should have 2 by 2.5 square meters at least, and they should have the company of another goat. But anyway, that's another day's story. Declan, listen to me. I get tradition.
Well, Katrina, tell us, what type of animals are goats? Are they very sentient? Are they smart? Are they?
They're very okay. First of all, with heat, they're not great with heat because they pant a lot, and when a goat pants a lot, he will stop drinking and he will stop eating. It leads to heat stress and possible heat stroke. And I do believe, Declan, yes, the goats all went back up the mountains and all that, but at the end of the day, 3 days and 3 nights, their tradition does not.
No, in actual fact, Katrina, just to cut across your day, it's not actually 3 days and 3 nights. He's like, oh Lord, he goes up and at about 6 o'clock. Actually, he's crowned at 6 o'clock in the first evening, and he's down by 5:30 on the third evening. So technically, that's actually only 2 days.
Yeah.
Okay, but Declan, do you understand what it must be like if we put a foal up there, a kitten, a puppy? There would be outrage. It should not be different because it's a goat.
This is a wild mountain goat, Katrina.
Yes,
he's used to living on heights. He's used to the rain, the wind, the sun up in the mountains.
Yes, I'm not talking about that.
He has a shaggy coat which insulates him as well from climatic conditions.
But
we are
first
very
of all,
confident. That is your opinion, Katrina, in terms of the welfare of the goat. This is your opinion. You're not a goat.
It's not my opinion. I'm referring to legislation. A winter coat, he shouldn't have a winter coat if he's going up where it's going to hit nearly 30 degrees with heat radiating from the metal. He shouldn't have a winter coat, Declan. And listen to me, this is not
a winter coat or summer coat. It's a shaggy coat, okay?
I know, but listen, Declan, listen to me. We're not here to trip each other up. And
well,
I really want you to know that.
It certainly looks like it, because I doubt
please,
very much now, Katrina, if you represent the vast majority of the views of the people, not alone in Killorglin, not alone in the Mid-Kerry region, not alone in Kerry, and certainly all over Ireland, I would say. I would say, Katrina, sorry, excuse me, the picture you have painted of Killorglin and the merriment that goes on paints a very dim picture. No, that was very disappointed.
That was Francesca who said that places are washed.
Sorry, beg your pardon.
Wash with drink. Yeah. But Katrina made the point. I didn't know. The pubs are allowed, say, open to 3 o'clock in the morning.
That's right, Joe. When I was growing up as a young fella, the pub that I run here was open all night for the 3 days.
All night?
All night. No close.
Okay.
So we're very civilised now.
I know that. When you go to the hoisting of the puck tomorrow evening, will you be wearing a jacket or jumper, or what will you wear?
Me, I won't be present at all. I'm not involved with the proceedings. I'm the spokesperson here. There's
what do you think? What do you think?
The parade, they will all be
wearing
high-vis jackets.
As you walked around the town today in the hot weather, what were people dressed in overcoats?
Well, they're dressed in overcoats. Well, the goat can't change his overcoat.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So you have control over the goat.
The goat, we will do everything in our power. If that means taking the goat down, he's actually taken down every day anyway to be inspected. And if that means keeping him down, we'll keep him down. But he will be restored to resume his perch where he's a throne on high. Anyway, okay. I think there's parts of it there, Joe, that if down here is quite warm, up about there, there's actually a quiet breeze. I was actually up high there in a building about 2 hours ago, and there's a lovely, balmy breeze passing by, and I'd rather be up there than down here on the concrete on the ground.
Yeah, but Dennis Neal is Dennis. 51551 is our text number. Go ahead, Dennis. You're listening to Declan.
Hi, Joe. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I represent Sentient Rights Ireland. We're a political party set up to advocate for animal rights. What's happening down in Killorglin, and to the good people of Killorglin, you're entitled to have your festival, there's no question about that. Towns and villages and cities are having festivals all over the country, especially during the summer. Mm-hmm. But there is no need to have a live animal on the top of a plinth hanging in a cage. This is outrageous. It is an animal rights violation. If you want to honour Puck, you could honour Puck very easily by having an imagery. No problem there. But using a live animal is an animal rights violation, and it should not be done. And
it's an animal rights violation. Says who, Dennis?
Animals carry moral rights, and it is our duty as people that interact with animals, whether they're wild or domestic, not to abuse these animals.
Then I'll put it to you straight. What do you think of the goat going up there from 6 o'clock tomorrow till 5 o'clock on Friday
I think it's
in a heatwave?
I think it's an abomination, heat or not. There should be no goat up there. If Puck needs to be honoured, and he should be honoured, it should be an image. And certainly that could be done, no problem. You could have a hologram up there. It could be something wonderful and fantastic, a lovely light show. There is no need to have a wild animal kidnapped out of the wild where they like to be, not in a cage. You need to think about this, and I would plead with the good people of Killorglin, have your festival by all means. Have a festival every weekend. No problem, but please stop abusing a wild animal.
Okay, Anne used to go on holidays to the Puck Fair. Anne,
yes.
What's your memory?
Oh, my memory. We used to have to drive through Killorglin to get to Glenbeigh where we holidayed, and it was always around this time of year. It's horrendous, absolutely horrendous.
What's horrendous?
Oh, well, first of all, the town. The First Lady Katrina mentioned the mess in the town and the dangers and all of that. But first of all, you have extreme drunkenness in the town. So even getting through the town, getting the car through without having it pushed up against, bumped, people jumping on the bonnet, all of that kind of. We had all of that. Mm-hmm. And then as a child, you're in the back and you're looking out and you see this poor animal in a cage that it can barely move in, suspended with all this shrieking and crazy nonsense going on down below, and it's
it has been captured out of the wild and put up there.
Catherine, how many years ago is it since you were at Puck Fair?
It's many, many moons ago. It's a good,
40, 50 years?
Yes, 40, 50 years, yeah.
As people will confess to hear, the Puck has changed enormously in the last 20 years. It's become a very successful, well-respected, family-oriented festival. And I think the image that has been portrayed here, Joe, and I have to say I'm rather disappointed that there seems to be a strong bias here against Puck Fair and everything that we have achieved and everything that we will continue to do. This is outside at all of the animal welfare. I think we're not getting a fair shake here, and it's about time some of the people around to bring in and give an equal, balanced view of what is going on here.
Well, I'm delighted if you have managed to turn things around and you have now a very family-friendly, squeaky clean festival. That's fabulous.
And that should be recognised.
That goat should not be, a wild animal should not be caged in that tiny cage and suspended over the town for 3 days and 3 nights. It is not on in this day and age. And to say that you're holding this, we're doing it this way for 100 plus years, so what? That doesn't mean you have to keep doing it this way. Surely to God you've learned something along the way.
But you have cancelled it twice, haven't you? Or 3 times, Declan.
I don't. It was cancelled due to foot mouth or something. I don't think it was cancelled. There was a threat of it going to be cancelled, and they got ministerial position. I think it was around 1949. But in the meantime, the foot and mouth epidemic had ceased, and so it was allowed to go ahead as normal.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was taken off.
I don't think it was. No, from my memory serves me correctly.
And then it was cancelled.
There was a possibility as well during the Civil War that it might have been cancelled, but I think it was allowed to go ahead. Okay,
Jennifer Wilson, your point, please, Jennifer.
Good afternoon, Joe.
Yeah.
I've just been listening to some of the comments before me, and I don't want to repeat too many things, but my first point would be we're getting messages all the time from Dogs Trust and the RSPCA about not leaving dogs in cars, making sure they've water and leaving the windows open, checking the tarmac if you're walking the dog during the early afternoon to make sure it's not too hot, so they don't burn their paws.
Never thought of that, yeah.
And now we're talking about putting a wild goat who's not familiar with humans.
But it's been done for 400 years, Jennifer.
I know that, but it's still... And the point is, why do they leave them up there every night, all night? Why don't they put them up at 6 o'clock, keep them there till 9 or 10, bring them down again? I don't understand the overnight thing. The other suggestion I would have, particularly this year, we've had not so great August weeks where the Puck Fair has been on and it's not hot, but it's going to be hotter than Portugal for the next few days. Why don't we just get one of the, the ones you see in the front of the Kilkenny shop, the sheep? Just get a fake one and put it up there on its pedestal, and everybody can look in it, and it's a symbol.
Yeah, symbolic.
Yeah, and not have a live animal up there at all. Or have a human dress up in a shaggy coat and stand up there.
See how they like it,
for 2.5 days and nights.
And Declan, what do you think of those compromises that people are suggesting?
I think this is ridiculous, Joe, to be honest.
Can I suggest something?
No, let Declan finish.
Our primary, from our perspective here, there's an independent vet who looks after the welfare of the goat. He hands in his report to the veterinary department, and they're quite happy that he is being well looked after, well cared for by the committee.
And has a goat ever been up there?
We catch him about a month before.
I know that, but has a goat ever been up there in 30-degree temperatures?
No, but if it means that we have to take him down to a lower level to inspect him, we'll do whatever it takes.
But when will you take him down?
I'm sure there has been pucks, Joe, in the past, over the past 200 years, that has been sweltering heat, and I've never heard of a case of the goat dropping dead yet.
Yeah, but we are in 2022.
That shouldn't be the barometer, whether the goat drops dead or not.
But can I ask something, Joe, please? Can I ask, is it a department vet that's signing off on this? Because they're contradicting their own animal welfare legislation. Is it a department vet that's signing off on this, Declan?
So who are you speaking to me, is it?
I'm sorry, Declan. I'm just wondering, is it a department vet you said the vet is signing off on this, but is it a department vet that's...
A local vet looks after the welfare of the goat, and he hands in his report. and he's quite confident to stand over everything in terms of the.
Yeah, but we had a veterinary. Is Francesca still there? We had a veterinary nurse from the town, Declan, Francesca Ayers, EYR. She's really unhappy with it. Really unhappy with it.
Yeah, she was unhappy with everything about as far as I can see. It's not just about the animal welfare.
Well, she has some point. Your pubs are open till 3:00 in the morning. Your three main sponsors, you call them the Double Diamond sponsors. Of your three main sponsors, two of them are drink companies. Why is that? In a family festival.
Family friendly, yeah.
It is family friendly, and we stand over that. Every child here in Killarden, every child in the Kerry area loves to come to Puck Fair, and they don't have their memories are not of the Double Diamond sponsors. Their memories are of going to Bud's Bazaar, going to the stalls in the town, and having a great time with their friends.
But Declan, they get to go home though, Declan.
Let's
they get
a proper picture here of what Puck Fair is all about. This is all very negative.
Well, you're getting Declan. Well, hang on, Declan.
Unfair, Joe.
Declan, you're Declan. Come on now, Declan. Get a grip here. You're protesting.
Real.
No, you are. You get real. You're protesting. There's no one lined up. These are people calling in. You've been on the programme since 1:45. You've had your fair share. You're there to answer every single opportunity. Don't be playing the victim. You're not a victim here. No, the victim here is the goat. Who are you kidding? Back after this break.
Talk to Joe on 0818 715 815. Talk to Joe on 0818 715 815.
Declan, you're adamant it's a family fair. I know Boards Euro, they're a great amusement family, so they're there, aren't they, for the full week? Declan. Declan? Okay. Judy Owens, I'll try and get Declan back. Judy Owens, you're listening to the discussion here. Go ahead, Judy.
Hi, Joe. I am, and I'm really sickened to my core listening to a man like Declan trying to defend the indefensible. Essentially, what they're going to do is roast a live animal in a steel cage while people look up at this travesty happening. I'm sickened to my core.
Hang on, how are they going to be roasting a live? That has connotations of a pig and a spit.
Yeah, exactly. But Joe, we're coming in. We had a heat wave a few weeks ago, and we had 2 weeks of experts telling us how to look after our dogs, our cats, our grannies, everybody else. We're having the same heat wave starting tomorrow, and this committee in Killarden want to essentially put a wild, helpless animal suspended in the air in this heat. It is. I just can't come to terms with it. I can't believe it could happen in the year of 2022.
But it's been going on for 400 years.
Well, then it's wrong. Just because it's going on for 400 years, it reminds me of the Roman Empire and those days of whatever. I mean, now, just a question. Have the Gardaí no hand, actor part in this? If I was out walking with my two dogs and all of a sudden I decided to turn on them and beat them and a squad car passed, would they not stop and say, Mrs., what are you doing? How can the local Gardaí condone this? And I would love to hear
in fairness, hang on, the local Gardaí have nothing to do with this.
But it's cruelty to animals,
by the sounds of it, they're going to be busy anyway.
Yeah, but and we all know what that means. But is cruelty to animals not a crime? I think Katrina is an extremely brave lady, but we all know exactly what happens. They could have their festival and we'd all be happy for them to have it, but not with this cruelty involved. I mean, when you have the Ballinasloe horse fair, they don't suspend a horse 20 foot up in the air. Mm-hmm. It's unnecessary, and it's extremely upsetting to listen to that man speak. Oh, my God. I hope something happens, that there's some sort of an intervention. At least take the poor animal down at night.
Mm. Shane McElroy is from Killarden Chamber Alliance. Your point, please, Shane. Hello, Shane.
Tail end of the show there. Just trying to give it a bit of balance in regards to the Puck Fair itself.
We're not talking about the puck fair, Shane. We're talking about a heat wave and a goat being suspended. I don't care what you call the festival. It's nothing to do with the puck fair. It's to do with the fact that a goat is being suspended in an unprecedented heat wave in August in Ireland, where the Met Office, for the second time only this year, if not this century, have given out heat warnings. We're not talking about puck fair. I know it's brilliant and people love it. It's the suspension of the goat in a heat wave.
Thanks for letting me make a point anyway. But no, what I wanted to say is that the goat was looked after exceptionally well. There were people he's taken down on numerous occasions during the day. He's fed, he's watered. There's a vet that looks after him. He's accustomed to people in advance of going up because for about a month beforehand he gets used to people. And he's let go after the couple of days that he's up there, and he goes back in. This has been going on for quite a number of years, and the goat has always been looked after. The goat was always in good condition at the end of Puck Fair, and goes back into the wild, and there's no issues. There's never been an issue with any of the goats over the years.
And would we hear about it if there was?
Well, I can tell you that there isn't. So unless you have an issue with what I'm saying.
I don't have an issue, but is there an actual follow-up?
Well, the goat is seen by the vet over the few days that he is there.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant.
Looked after, and when he's brought down, he's also seen by the vet.
But is he seen by the vet? Is he seen by the vet a month later, a year later?
No, he's not. No.
So how do you know the goat there's no issues?
And what are you suggesting would be wrong with the goat a month or a year later?
I don't know. But the goat's not going to fetch up at the local Garda station saying I'm traumatised. But you don't know what state the goat is in a year later, so you can't say. Neither can I, by the way. Judy.
Well, what I can't tell you is that when the goat is let go, that he's in perfect condition.
I say he runs. Judy, what Shane says, and that's been proven time and time again. The goat is well looked after during the festival.
Shane, could I ask you, Shane?
You can.
Your veterinary expert that you're talking about there, would you get him to come online?
No, I don't. The professional's only doing his or her job. I don't want to...
I know, but I can't imagine any veterinary doctor saying that it's okay to suspend. I mean, Shane, think about it logically.
It's not up to the vet, it's up to the state, it's up to the Department of Agriculture. That's why we pay for a Department of Agriculture for animal welfare.
I wish somebody would come on, because any normal thinking person knows that what's going to happen in Killorglin for the next 3 days is barbaric.
Do you want to respond to that, Shane?
Well, I disagree. I mean, I suppose I've been looking at Puck Fair for about 30 years now, since I've come to the town, and I see only very good treatment of that goat over that period of time. He's well used to heights. He's well used to the people by the time he goes up there. He's fed, he's watered, he's inoculated, and he's brought back to where he was originally found and let back into the goat society, and there never seems to be any issue. The goat is calm, I would say. The enclosure that he's in has been enlarged over the years, so there has been changes over the years, and he's very well looked after.
But Shane, what is the purpose of suspending him in thin air? Like, what's the advantage?
I'm not sure. Just adventure. Have you been down to Puck Fair in recent years?
And I can tell you, after this discussion today, I wouldn't go within 1,000 miles of it.
Well, no, I suggest that you might come down and actually look, and then you'll have a better idea.
It's not a very complicated scenario that's been described here. You have a living, breathing animal suspended above a crowd of God knows how many thousands.
He's not suspended as such. He's on a stand, and he's in an enclosure.
But he is up. He is up in the air now.
Yeah, but he is up in the air. But if he was on the side of a mountain, he'd be up in the air as well.
No, he won't. So, if he's on the side of a mountain, he has his feet is 4 feet on grass.
Yeah.
Well, he has an enclosure which has got bedding inside, and it's got plenty to eat, plenty to drink, everything else that's inside there as well.
No, could I come in there and just say, reiterate that they talk about the food and the water that he gets. The water is changed on a regular basis, so there's no way he's drinking hot water. There's a local farmer who sources the best of heather for him. And I'd just like to say at this stage, Joe, and I know we're talking about the goat, and I'd like to say there's more to Puck than just the goat.
They don't suspend the goat.
There's a lot of stuff that goes on here that people enjoy coming to.
Well, did you hear, Judy?
People ask, why do we put the goat up? This tradition started, I'd say, in the early 1800s, when the local landlord, Jenkins Conway, had the rights to hold a fair, and some farmer decided, well, now there's no goat mentioned in the charter, and he came in and he put a goat up on a small stand, and he said, no, there you are, you can't charge me for the goat. And ever since then, the tradition
but
is
times
alive.
have
And
changed,
it's great to have traditions that are respected, traditions where we look after everybody, including the welfare of the goat. And that is our utmost intention to do that. And we intend to carry on that, and we intend to honour the tradition of putting the goat up on the stand, but we also intend to look after the welfare of the goat. And you were saying there, what about how is the goat when he goes? If the goat is spotted, this goat is a spectacular looking goat, and if anything happens to that goat, he will be spotted in the mountains if something untoward happens to him.
Okay.
And we've never had a case like
Declan,
that.
have you heard of an animal dying from overheating? Because
was this addressed to me, is it?
Yeah, Declan. Yeah, well, anybody there, Shane, Judy, Rory.
They will die from heat.
Because I tell you,
take your dog for a walk. He's not used to this heat. But
well, we had a story.
You can be sure that we will take the goat on. We will do our utmost to look after
I understand. But it can happen very quickly. We had a call here 3 weeks ago during the first heat wave, and we thought at the time it was too distressing to put on because we reckoned that people had got enough warnings about taking their animals in or their dogs in or whatever. But it was a man who told us, and I read the phone call, he told us his boxer dog literally turned into a gelatinous, that's his phrase, a gelatinous lump in front of him and died in the heat.
Right.
His insides baked.
You can't compare a goat to a dog. A goat is a sturdy animal who's used to living on the mountain. Okay. We're forgetting this fact. This is a wild mountain goat. They have been around since the ice ages. The goats and the sheep are closely related. So this goat is a hardy animal. He's used to living in very extreme conditions.
No, that's a good point, Judy. They are hard.
It's in the interest of everybody. We don't want to be.
Okay, let Judy respond. He is a wild mountain goat. They are well used to the outdoors. That's their life.
Your description, therein lies the fact. It is a wild mountain goat. It's now going to be put into a steel cage. And look, Declan, we all love tradition and we learn tradition through our history, etc. But you know, some traditions were bad, and this is one of the traditions that is not good. Get a local sculptor or fabric maker, an artist, to make a life-size puck goat and suspend that if you like. But please do not suspend a live animal.
Because Declan in Dublin...
It's morally wrong, Declan. It's actually morally wrong. I don't know if you have any animals, but would you put them up in this self-same cage with crowds down below and heat? Everything about your argument, we know it's a fabulous fair, but you're trying to defend something that's morally wrong. And I would say it's a sin, actually, what you're doing.
I know, that's pushing it now.
A sin.
No.
Sorry, Joe. That's really kind of taking it too far.
Why?
A sin. How would you describe that as a sin? In whose eyes? In your eyes?
Yeah, in my eyes, yeah, and maybe in the eyes of an awful lot more people.
What type of
animal
sin and mortal? What type of sin is it?
Joe, if I might just come in there,
Shane,
I think language is really important here, and the descriptions are really important as well. The goat that is put up there is kept in a fine enclosure where he can actually move around. He's fed on a regular basis.
Of course, yeah.
He's watered on a regular basis, and he's well looked after by a vet as well. If there's any distress to the animal, he will be taken down. But there is no distress to the animal. The animal is well accustomed to people. He's well used.
But how do you know if an animal is in distress? This man's dog, by the way, the dog.
It's simple enough, actually, Joe.
No, but this man,
we
hope to get. We're trying to track down this man now at short notice. But the man that phoned in about his dog was called Cardi. He was an American bully, they called him. He said his dog just collapsed in front of him. He didn't realise.
Comparing a dog to a goat. Comparing a dog to goats, it's like apples and oranges, Joe. It doesn't bear any correlation whatsoever.
Okay,
Joe, if that's the case, if your point is valid, and look, I have dogs as well. If your point is valid, then there shouldn't be a cow or a sheep or a cat or a dog left outside.
Well, I was looking at a herd of cows last night, and they all headed into the shade when the shade of the hedgerow.
And this is shaded, so the enclosure that the goat is in is shaded.
But hang on, it's open on four sides. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, correct.
Right. The sun moves across the sky. So there are some. It's shaded. There's a roof on it. That what it has to be to hold it up, I presume. But that doesn't protect the goat for the 12 hours of sunshine.
The goat is also checked during those hours of sunshine, and is also brought down, and is also made sure that it's fine and healthy.
Joe, you were mentioning that. How would we know if the goat was distressed?
Yeah.
The vet would know if the goat was distressed, and I have no doubt
that if the vet
felt that the goat was distressed, he would take him down.
And are you paying a vet to sit there from 6 o'clock tomorrow till 6 o'clock on Friday?
But Joe, that's for any animal then. Are you trying to say that every animal that's out there is being checked 24 hours a day?
This animal is hanging in a cage.
He's not hanging in a cage.
He's up in a...
That's incorrect. As I said, language is very important here. He's not hanging in a cage.
He's suspended in a cage. Sorry.
That's
and the cage is hanging in the air. Rory Wilson. The only fact that we should be quibbling over here is it going to be 27, 28, 29 degrees, 30 degrees, 31 degrees? The Met Office, they say the Met Office in the UK are likely to rise above 35 degrees in central and southern parts of the UK. Rory Wilson, your point, please.
Joe, I can see both sides of this argument, and I'm very much in favour of animal welfare. But could I suggest a more modern, high-tech solution to the problem, which might be acceptable to both sides?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, they catch the goat, they check him out with the vet, they bring him into the farmer's where the farmer looks after him, and he's put in a comfortable and well-lit pen, which is well lit. That's important. And they can then set up a webcam on the goat, which shows him live. This can be connected over the internet with some LED screens on the tower where the goat is normally displayed. This way, the public who want to see King Puck can watch him live, moving about, shaking his head, whatever he's doing, but he could be kept cool and safe in his pen.
Okay, Declan, what do you think? No, the idea, you've explained the idea, Rory. It's very clear.
Okay.
Fair play to you. Declan, what do you think of that idea?
Maybe it sounds plausible. I don't know. I'd have to look into that kind of technology. But anyway, I don't know. I can't speak. I speak for the tradition. And I uphold the traditions as best we can.
Okay.
Joe, we have it in the church for Mass on Sundays. It's not very difficult, and it might actually save the committee money in the long run.
How does it save the money in the long run?
Well, I'll tell you, you wouldn't need a vet on call for a start, and the LED screens you might get sponsored by one of the large electronic companies.
Right, okay.
I think in the end you would save money, actually.
Okay, stay with us after this break.
Talk to Joe on 0818 715 815. Talk to Joe on 0818 715 815.
Just before I go back to the Puck Fair and the heatwave, this day 2 weeks we'll be doing a special on the killing of Michael Collins, and obviously we're trying to do it a little bit differently given that this is Liveline. So we're putting a shout out for a number of people, relatives of people, if they could contact us. We're looking for relatives of Tom Malone, who was in Portlaoise prison on this day 100 years ago, Maryborough prison. We reckon he's one of the last people to have a conversation with Michael Collins, and we'd love to find out more about that conversation from relatives of Tom Malone, who was in Portlaoise prison. Florence O'Donoghue from Macroom had an interaction as well with Michael Collins shortly before his death. They had a conversation. Any relatives of Florence O'Donoghue from Macroom, from around the Farran area, we're looking for relatives of the Condons, of James Callahan from CAHAL, by the way, A&E from around Clonakilty. Dermot Woolley, Whooley, Pat Sheehan, who was a schoolmaster, any relatives of those people, if you could email us or contacts at joe@rte.ie. And some little bizarre piece of trivia that are coming into us about Michael Collins. First of all, a number of people have said to us, Michael Collins could not pronounce the word eggs. I've never heard of that before. Have you? He could not pronounce the word eggs, and if men were captured and the auxiliaries or the black and tans or whatever thought they were Michael Collins, they would ask them to pronounce the word eggs and see could they pronounce it. Michael Collins had a repertoire of 100 ballads. He loved to dress well. It was only in his latter days that he was in a military uniform, and he loved the theatre as well. Just some of the... So we're looking for local historians and local stories like that as well about Michael Collins. Okay, back to the heatwave tomorrow and the Puck Fair and the goat being suspended from tomorrow evening till Friday evening. Donny is in Waterford, though. You're involved in the Puck Fair, are you, Donny?
No, I'm not sure. I've been to it.
Oh, yeah, you're pro. Your father's from Kerry, sorry.
That's right, yeah.
Your point, please.
Yeah. No, I think it's much ado about nothing, Joe, that what's going on there on your programme at the minute, because the people down there, they look after the animal very well, and over the years, when you'd look up to see the goat, or King Puck, he's not exactly up on the top of Mount Everest. He's up about, a 2-storey house, a canopy over him, well looked after, inconvenience for probably about 2 weeks, and then left back on the mountain. So,
but has he ever been up in these temperatures before?
I'd say the mountains are a little bit higher than a 2-storey house, but
and a little bit cooler.
Absolutely, but sure, there's so much technology now to go, and that's not a difficult job.
No, but the point, the reason, the generation of calls today is about the heat wave that's coming and a goat being suspended.
And I'm sure the people that look after it, Joe, will take that into consideration and do what they need to do.
So
they have done for so long.
Well, why not just take it into, which is the argument that a number of people are making, why not take it into consideration and don't put the goat up?
Oh, well, maybe they'll take him down for tomorrow or whatever, but the goats, that festival has been going on for, I suppose, since pagan times. And all the time I've been there, I've never heard of a goat being mistreated. I've heard of times when they couldn't were coming close to not getting the goat. But it's just a great Irish festival, and maybe a lot of middle-class people, good middle-class people, but they have a view of life that might be different to ordinary people in Ireland.
What are you on about middle-class people? What are you on about?
Well, all the voices seem to be kind of aimed at putting down the festival in
no, they're not putting down. No one put that. Well, apart from the local who said the place.
Well, wasn't the one person saying those people?
The place was awash with drink. Two of the main
people jumping on cars.
She's entitled. She's entitled to say that.
I've never seen it. Of course, yeah.
No,
I've never seen it. I was there from the time.
The pubs are open till 3 o'clock in the morning.
And they used to be open all night for 3 days or whatever.
Okay.
That was at that time.
2/3 of the main sponsors are alcohol companies.
I remember at one point when I was young, going in there in the 60s, there'd be travellers' caravans lined along the road for miles. You know, it was a major kind of a thing.
Fair, yeah,
you'd never see it now. And the thing just changes over time. But I'm sure they look after the poor goat tomorrow, and it'll be all right.
Okay.
And probably father many kids after it.
Okay, thanks, Tony. Jared,
no problem,
Jared Cohan, your point, please, Jared.
Hello, Joe. Thanks for having me on air. Joe, I'm absolutely apoplectic with rage with Declan for defending the indefensible. The Puck Fair is a barbaric, outdated practice, and it should be banned immediately. And shame on the sponsors who sponsor this ridiculous event. It's absolute. I'm an animal welfare advocate.
And it's a fair. It's conviviality. There's a big fun fair on. There's loads of circus acts and clowns and bands marching around the town. It is a family event.
It's a family event,
wrong with
Joe.
that? We're not talking about that. We're talking about the goat being suspended for 3 days in this heat.
That's the point I'm trying to make, Joe, if you listen to me. It's all about the goers. They can have a bloody pair if they like, but don't take a poor goer on a mountain and put him in this stressful situation. It's absolutely disgraceful and indefensible. And it's a ridiculous tradition, and it's the goat part of it, having a goat taken from a wild hillside into this stressful position, is absolutely disgusting. And shame on Declan, and shame on the sponsors.
Declan's a volunteer, giving us time to give a village, a town a boost. You know what I mean? In the where Killarney gets all, or Kenmare gets all the tourists, and down there, or Dingle. What's wrong with giving his town a boost? And
there is no problem, absolutely
doing it
no
on a
problem,
voluntary
Joe.
basis.
I have no problem with the Puck Fair, but suspending a goat. Okay, Joe, I'll put an argument to Declan.
Well, Declan, are you there? Oh, go ahead, Jared, yeah.
He says the goat is suspended and a vet looks after the goat. Well, here's an idea, and I'm being sarcastic here now deliberately. Suspend the vet alongside the goat in this heat and leave him up there with the goat.
Well, we don't know if the man or woman. Okay. Pretty ridiculous suggestion, Jerry.
Joe, can I just say that I have to go away now because I have other duties to perform. So I try to say.
So the goat is going.
Joe, can I talk?
Yeah.
I have to go away because I have other duties to perform as a committee member. So I've said my piece and I rest my case.
So
Joe, can I talk? Can I interrupt?
Okay, sorry, good luck. I have to go.
So Declan, the goat is going up tomorrow, come hell or high water or heat wave.
Hello.
Hello,
Joe, I said,
hello.
Can I talk? I've been on hold now for 35 minutes. Declan has got the bulk of the
I'll let you in after this break.
Talk to Joe on 0818 715 815.
Joe Duffy!
Talk to Joe on 0818 715 815.
Here's a quick voice message we just got in on 087 1843 709.
Hi Joe, it's Jack from Wicklow. I'm 12 years old and I've been to Puck Fair every single year and the goat looks happy as ever. And I feel like it's an Irish tradition that should stay because a lot of our Irish traditions are going. And Puck Fair, it's real family friendly. I would recommend it for everyone to go. If they're going past Kerry, I would go. And some people might not understand why, but it's a real good tradition in County Kerry, in the country, and it's just real family friendly, and I would recommend it for everybody.
Okay, Jack, thanks a million. Good use of 087 1843 709 and the WhatsApp voice messages. Suzanne McDougall. Suzanne, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Joe.
You're listening to the discussion. What do you think?
I am listening to the discussion, and I find it hard to believe in this day and age that we would subject a poor unfortunate animal to be suspended, as you correctly say, in the air for 3 days and 3 nights. And despite the weather, I mean, when I say despite the weather, in any weather, but the point being that all your contributors have made so far is the heat. And I mean, to have them in a metal cage, metal, as you know, attracts heat. And animals do suffer from sunstroke. I'm a veterinary surgeon's daughter, and I find it extraordinary that a vet actually okays treatment.
But it's the Department of Agriculture that gives the license.
I have actually I've just texted my local TD, Martin Hayden, who I think is the Junior Minister for Agriculture. I've just texted him. I mean, I'm all for tradition, and they can have their fair and everything, but I think it's just appalling that you would subject a wild animal for 3 days and 3 nights up in the air. Okay, they say he's well looked after and everything, but he must be very stressed. And I'm not one of these tree huggers,
how do you know, Suzanne?
I don't know, but I mean, listen, you go up there for 3 days and 3 nights and see how you feel. You know,
I don't enjoy living wild on mountains.
No, I understand that, of course. And yes, the animal is a wild animal, and all the more reason that it would more than likely be stressed. But I think I think there's been various speakers on this afternoon who've come up with some very good ideas. Your most recent speaker there, technology, but I think one of the best ideas was to get a model of a goat. And I've been involved in the art world for many years.
I know that.
I know every sculptor. I know every sculptor in the country, and I'm sure a sculptor would do a wonderful job making a fabulous bronze goat. and it would not be necessary to subject the poor unfortunate animal, to this. It's barbaric. It really is barbaric. And the gentleman from Kilorglan, well, I'm sure he's, very keen on his fair, and I understand tradition and history, and, it's important to keep things alive, but I think it's morally indefensible.
Well, you heard him at the end. It's going ahead tomorrow, come hell, high water or heat wave. Sean, stay there, Suzanne, please. Sean O'Hishada. Sean, good afternoon.
A joke on a start up.
Come on. Are you listening to Suzanne there saying she believes it's barbaric? Yes. What do you think, Sean?
Yes, indeed. Look, Joe, all I can say is give from my own experiences. Mm-hmm. Igundi and Clore, I'm from County Kerry, so when my daughters were young, it was one of our festivals or fairs to go to. We actually ended up going there 4 times. I'm a non-drinker, I'm a non-smoker. Mm-hmm. I'm not tapping myself in the back for that. That's just the way things went. The girls loved it. Mm-hmm. They loved the few days, and so did I.
And what do they love about it, Sean?
They just love
the atmosphere,
the ruralness of it, the fair, the ice cream, the day out or the days out. We'd also go to Killarney, spend a couple of days in Killarney, do Muckross House and a few more of the occasions down there. Yeah. Beautiful. Joe. Look, I've been there. I'm not guessing. I've been there. I brought my.
Have you been there, Sean? This is the difference you see this year.
Yeah.
Have you been there in a heat wave?
Well, I'll tell you now. I was there, Joe, in pretty hot weather. I can't tell you the degrees, but it was pretty hot because I'd be always very concerned that the girls had their suntan 50 or whatever on them. Otherwise, I'd get killed when I come home. But
you see, I'm looking at the weather forecast. It's on. We're like an air traffic control tower here.
Yeah,
there's so many screens, and I'm looking at Trevor. Yeah. You know Trevor, who does the good-looking chap that does the weather. Yeah, he's he's sweltering. He's mahogany, and he's a fine-looking young man. He's shown me on the screen now, right?
Yeah,
29 degrees. And down around Kerry tomorrow, 29 degrees.
29 degrees, and I look, Joe, you're sort of outside my remit of expertise
Trevor
here
Keegan,
now.
Trevor.
I'm just a humble structural engineer, but what I can say to you is that I'd imagine the goat is quite used to those temperatures where he comes from.
Yeah, but he won't be. But the goat is confined to a space that's
ridiculous.
Much less than a car park.
Yeah, look.
Sean, as an engineer, does metal conduct heat?
Yeah, of course. Of course it does.
Would there be a warning given? We heard earlier on the programme that our partner is a builder, and he's been instructed today by his boss not to spend too much time up on scaffolding because of the heat.
Of course.
So we're letting it. My understanding is the pen that the goat is in. Is made of metal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Metal tubes.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm not fighting the battle, Joe.
I know that.
Or he should go down. I'm just saying that, I brought my 2 girls there on 4 different occasions when they were quite young, brought them to games as well. They absolutely loved it. And all I'll say is this, the best of luck to him tomorrow. I hope to get the fan system working for him and the cool water system. I don't know.
Suzanne, what do you think of that idea? Declan did suggest they might put a fan in.
I beg your pardon. I think the gentleman is confusing the issue slightly because we're talking about the goat. He said his children enjoyed the fair, and I'm sure the fair is marvellous, and as somebody has said, it's changed a lot and is very well run now. But we're talking about the goat. And you've just pointed out, as animals suffer from heat stroke. And metal bars, they would become, they'll be too hot to touch.
That's true.
Not if there's a fan up there, Joe.
A fan? What type of fan?
The heat would be displaced, yeah.
What type of fan?
No.
What
is wrong with these people?
No, I would imagine, some sort of a cool air fan. Again, you're outside my level of expertise there, Joe. Okay. But it will get hot. All I'm saying is, and I'm delighted to say
it. Sean, what you're saying, which is true, your kids enjoyed it, but the kiddie, the goat, is not going to enjoy it according to lots of callers today.
Yeah, I understand, and I wouldn't certainly want him under any duress whatsoever. I can guarantee you.
I just wonder as well, Sean, has our attitude to animals changed? I know it's evolved, but even in the last 2 years in the lockdown, the people realised with incredible passion how important pets were to them, dogs and cats and budgies.
We've got 4 dogs. We've got 4 dogs.
Well, and people just have our interest in animal welfare has gone up, I think, because we realised how important they were.
And rightly so too, Joe. Rightly so. Animal welfare must be at the highest level of the pyramid. For mankind, we have to love our
then
animals.
Why allow this ridiculous tradition to continue?
All I'm saying is, we went to the fair. We went to the festival.
I know you went to the fair. I'm talking about the goat.
Well, the goat is the principle of the fair or the festival. He's the principle of it.
Doesn't have to be a live animal.
And he's entitled to that.
Yeah, but Sean, you say he's the principal of it. He didn't apply for the job. He was captured.
Joe, no, he didn't. He didn't apply for the job.
He was captured. Someone said earlier he was kidnapped. Pardon the pun.
No, Joe, you're taking it into scary places. No, he wasn't kidnapped.
There was a Foss down in Killorgan set up an interview panel to interview. The goat hardly walked down into the square in Killorgan and said, "I heard you are looking for a puck. Can I get up there for 3 days and 3 nights?"
Why does the goat have to be a live animal?
Oh God, you're not suggesting they kill it, Suzanne.
No, I'm not suggesting. Of course not. I'm just saying, why can't it be a substitute in either in the form of a sculpture or in a cloth version or whatever.
Patrick O'Reilly does incredible animal sculptures.
He does indeed. I know well.
I think, Joe, having the live animal really puts a live event in place. We need more festivals like this. All I can say is, anytime we were there, we enjoyed it. We loved it. It was great. Tick the box. We love Killorgan. And the last thing I want to say, Joe, is we would go again. My children are grown up now, but I would certainly go again. They've been there, and nobody jumped in the bonnet of my Jeep. That's all I want to say.
Okay. Back after this break.
Talk to Joe on 0818 715 815.
Go Duffy!
Talk to Joe on 0818 715 815.
Raymond Ross, the heatwave, you think it's okay to put the goat up tomorrow?
Oh, I do, yeah, absolutely. Sure, nobody's going to try and kill a goat. We're going to look after it.
Well, the heat might kill it.
Huh?
The sun might kill it.
No, sure, can't we put a shower up the tower and cool them down if needed?
A shower? Are you there, Raymond?
I am, yeah.
You're suggesting they put up a shower?
Sure, why not? They're well used to looking after the goat. They've been having them up there for years and years, and there's no problem. The people at Kerry know well how to look after a goat after having them up there for so long.
It's not the same goat now every year.
No, a different goat.
Okay, Mark O'Brien, you're listening there to Raymond, says they might actually put up a cold shower over the goat to keep him cool down. Mark.
Hi, Joe, and look, with due respect to Raymond and the festival itself and the tradition, I just feel that, first of all, I've heard people mention that, it's a goat, it's a wild goat, it's used to heat and everything else. But the fact is, when the goat is in the wild, if it is very hot, it can run and take shelter. Another point is the fact that it's a wild goat that's used to being away from people. If it's in a town in a cage with loads of crowds, it's going to get anxious and it's obviously going to be affected by that. I feel like, we don't have to take away from the tradition of the fair, but I do feel that, something like an alternative, there have been some compromises already mentioned, but even perhaps, something like, to make it colourful and a big occasion for everybody, maybe a giant piñata or something that's colourful.
That would burst. That would burst on the last day with sweets and treats for kids,
things like that.
Okay, I want to let John Cotter in. John, your point, please, quickly.
Yeah, just in relation to the point that some people made that the goat doesn't show any distress. Well, animals are conditioned not to show distress or pain or injury because showing distress or pain or injury attracts predators. You know what I mean? Predators single out the old, the sick, the injured.
So goats don't show.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, Denise Bourne and Lucan. Denise, your point, please.
Oh, Joe, hi. I'm spitting feathers here listening to that nonsense.
What are you?
That poor goat has feelings, and the anxiety and the fear that poor goat is going to suffer over these few days is that barrack.
And does the heat make a difference?
No, absolutely no difference.
Okay, you think
shouldn't be happening. Absolutely not.
Okay. Back tomorrow, 1:45. Lisa Marie Berry produced, and Catherine Thomas is next.
0818 715 815 stays open until 3:15 p.m. or email Joe at rte.ie.